hours a day plus 4 hours of homework at night. So guess what? We learned a lot of Russian in those classes, taught by Russians who were our teachers. Nash uchitel was a Russian. Plus we had some different accents. So Mr. Lapellis was from one town. We had another teacher who was from Leningrad, who sounded very different. By the way, he was in the movie 2010. Remember 2001: A Space Odyssey? Well, he was the board engineer in 2010. So that was kind of interesting. Rudnick, Mr. Rudnick, and they fixed his teeth for the movie. He fixed his teeth. So cool. But so language learning is best learned as immersion, right? So what are we doing in philosophy class? We're learning philosophical vocabulary. Best way to learn it? Immersion, as far as I'm concerned, right? How do you immerse yourself in a language? You listen to it, you read it, you speak it, you write it. That's the only 4 ways I know of that you can sing it too, right? Why not? I listen to Russian podcasts every day, almost, from Moscow. Why not? They're concerned about everything too. Of course, they're looking at things from a slightly different perspective. It's kind of interesting. Plus, I lived in Germany for 3 years, and I passed my German test. And I passed my French test, and I have no idea how. Because I'm absolutely although I confess, I've been reading Harry Potter in French. Is that crazy? I've got all the books in French, German, Russian, and Spanish. But no hablo español. Which, by the way, got me a job here in Anchorage one time. Should I tell you that real quick? One of the things I was doing while I was here, I was teaching here, and I'm thinking, gee, why are students different than they used to be? And so I signed up to be a substitute for the Anchorage School District. And the one morning they called me up, because I was listed as social studies and foreign language, right? And apparently the school district, at least at the time, thought if you were in foreign languages, that meant all of them, right? So they called me up one morning and said, do you speak Spanish? And I said, no hablo español, which means no, right? And the person on the phone, who was a real person, they have a machine too that usually calls them, but the person said, oh, that's perfect. And they assigned me to Spanish immersion kindergarten. And I took the job. It's $100, so I went. The kids all figured out, you don't speak Spanish. But they taught me a lot, and I had a good time. And the school liked it, and they kept hiring me for that, and for Chugach Elementary, that was Government Hill. So I had quite an interesting time for a while teaching Spanish immersion kindergarten. You know the hardest part of that? Tying 24 shoes. 24 pairs of shoes. You know, when it was time for recess, they put their shoes on and they all lined up waiting for me to tie their shoes. There's no way. Oh well. So, what I'm doing with you guys is immersion. If I can get you to write that much and to read as much as I can and get you interested by talking about these kinds of subjects and so on, that achieves what the course is supposed to do. Helps you learn the vocabulary of philosophy. So, plus it's an easy way to grade people. I still see people, you know, with an armload of blue books, handwritten blue books at the end of the semester, heading off to their office, and I feel sorry for them because I know you'll just email me all your work. I'll go, hey, and then I'll read your paper, and then I'll send you my comments. wondering, can I use ChatGPT to send you your comment?
We wouldn't know.
Would I even know? I don't know. My goodness. So exams. That's one way that I can grade people for the class. There's 3. And the schedule, by the way, is in the syllabus here. It shows when. Also, the term project or term paper, whatever you want to call it, that one is larger because that's 3,000 words. And please pick a philosopher. Now, in this page, I do have a list right here that you can go look at. But if you go to course content on Blackboard and you go to the list of philosophers that I have there, this is an updated list. And in fact, one of you emailed me already and asked if I could add someone else that I hadn't been familiar with, and I added that. That's cool. I like learning about new people. Oddly enough, I don't know all there is to know about all the people that are out there, as you can imagine. So please teach me about your favorite philosopher. This last weekend, I've been watching Jordan Peterson. He's fascinating. Jordan Peterson's on there. However, there's my list. Have a look. I think with most of them, I've listed at least one link so that you can get an idea who they are. There's quite a variety of people that are out there. I think all the ones I have listed as living, and notice that what I'm hoping for is that you'll pick someone who's actually alive today and dealing with all the conversational issues that we're trying to work with, because that's our life, right? That's our conversation. But there are some that have already died that are still pretty hot as far as the conversation. So I do have those who are no longer living but still recent. Notice I do have C.S. Lewis there, if you're interested. C.S. Lewis and others. There's all kinds. And keep in mind, if you have a favorite already, not your mom, though. You know. And last semester, I had one student pick herself. And, you know, she hadn't asked me ahead of time. She wrote the paper. It was a good paper. She got an A, of course. She had 3,000 words. See how that works, right? But still, I'd like you to really wrestle with somebody who's wrestling with God, or wrestling with what's going on today. And I'm not really sure how you would limit who a philosopher is. So there's quite a lot of people that might not even be thought of as a philosopher by some. Peter Berger is a sociologist, for example. Pope Benedict was a theologian, for example. He's one of my favorites, by the way. He was, for a while, he was the right-hand man of Pope John Paul II. In fact, we referred to Joseph Ratzinger, Cardinal Ratzinger, as the Pope's Rottweiler, because that sounds like a vicious German dog, you know, that keeps people in line. But once he became Pope, he changed it and started calling him our German Shepherd, which, it's a different breed, a little bit more friendly. Okay, so that's fun. And then last, oops, where am I here? And then the last thing I'll ask is a quiz question. And I'll ask a quiz question each day, so roughly 30 quiz questions. And those email me by that Saturday. So I'll ask 2 a week. For example, today I'm going to ask you, and this is fun, right, for me at least. What are the 10 commandments? So you get home, or if you're online, you can email me what commandments you remember, right? You don't even have to be right. I'm just curious what you remember. You might not have even studied them, ever. So send me something else you memorized when you were a kid. Nominus Patris et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus. Amen. Yes. What commandments do you remember? And then send them to me. It's a memory test. Here's some of the favorite commandments I've received from students over the years. Yeah, do not steal is there because it's the wrong kind of steal, actually. Don't make golden cows. Don't speed on base. Love thy neighbor. Thou shalt not read philosophy out loud to your coworkers. This one, that's how it was spelled. Don't covet Nabo's wife. So, thou shalt not have class when it's minus 25. So these are local, obviously. Thou shalt not grade this test. All quiz responses are an A, by the way. The only ones that, and actually what I do is at the end of the semester, so don't email me and say, I've sent you 4 or 5 quiz responses. What's my grade on the quizzes so far? Well, at the end of the semester, I take all of your emails on your quizzes and I put them on a flash drive and I weigh it. See how many emails you send. As long as you participate, right? That's the main thing. By the way, I also put on Blackboard, I did put a discussion option. So if I'm not going to grade that, but if you want to discuss things with others in the class, if you have a question or you want to discuss something, who knows? Hopefully, that's part of my job is to get you interested in a discussion of some sort or another every day, if I can. But how many commandments did you remember? When you email me later on, how many will you have remembered? And I'll give you my statistics. By the way, there's the tablets. There's a lot of people are still looking for those, but I found them. By the way, some people use Roman numerals for the 10 Commandments. And they didn't have those. It was a Roman, right? So they didn't have Roman numerals for those. In fact, if you read the scriptures, from what I understand, and I think this is right, they aren't numbered, actually. And people argue over how many numbered commandments there are, how many sets of them there are. There's different groupings, actually. But theoretically, there are 10, and as you can see, I collected statistics for a while. Those are interesting ones, right? But here's the ones. Now these are not literally the way they read, but there's the ones that I have. No strange gods. I used to carry a mug on the first day of class that had the 10 Commandments on. Actually, the odd thing was there were 11 on there. But the one day I dropped the cup So I broke all 10 commandments at once. That's a terrible joke. But it is true, I broke the cup. So notice I don't have it anymore. I glued it back together, but I just use it now to scoop out the kibble for the dogs. So those are that. Why might it be, how many of you in looking at those remember them when you were a kid, but didn't remember all 10?